take that. Oh, let your love take it from the enemy. Full of power, you're a conqueror, you're a warrior. Put your high heels on and make a mark.
Thank you for tuning in to Uncommon Women. I'm Shanera.
I'm Kate.
And I'm Jenny Lee.
So I'm super excited about today. We're actually going to be speaking on relationships, part 2. And we're going to educate everyone on love languages. So Dr. Gary Chapman is an awesome counselor for keeping relationships alive, whether you're single, in a relationship, or have children. He has over 35 years of counseling. He's also a pastor, and he has been in New York's Best Time seller for 5 love languages. Not only has he focused his love languages with partners, but he has also written books on love languages for children, being single, military education, even teenagers, and so much more. So today we will focus on ways to communicate love in regards to the 5 love languages. They are words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, acts of service, and touch.
These 5 love languages will help build healthy relationships, which is built on genuine love, which helps a relationship grow.
Yes. So the first one we're going to focus on are words of affirmation. And words of affirmation are things like good compliments, basically verbally affirming each other, simply straightforward compliments like, I love how you did your hair today, or you look nice in that dress, and things like that.
Words of affirmation go beyond praise. Words have meaning. Words are powerful. They can uplift somebody and they can degrade somebody. People whose primary love language that they receive words of affirmation in, it is detrimental if you're not speaking life to them or you're not communicating through love. What words of affirmation is saying when you are delivering them to somebody is that they really understand how to give love in those words in ways that we speak to each other. Some examples could be writing notes in their lunch bag, writing notes on a corkboard, writing notes hanging in the fridge. Anytime you want to avoid criticism and you want to try and speak encouraging words to each other.
Yeah, and how you say things definitely has an impact on people. You know, the tone of voice that you use has an impact on relationships as well. You want to actually speak to them with love and not belittle them. You know, words of affirmation give someone worth and abilities, make them feel appreciated. You know, it gives them guidance and not commands in regards to when you're speaking to them.
To people whose primary language of love is words of affirmation, actions don't mean or have much meaning to them. It's all about unsolicited compliments. That's what means the words, the reason behind the love. They're looking for details. They're looking for specifics. You can leave the insults behind because insults will leave them shattered. And words of affirmation show that they're not forgotten. And when I talk about details, it's not just simply I love you. It's I love you because of the way you take care of me. I love you because of the way that you serve me. I love you because you always think about me in the morning when you make my coffee with 3 creams and extra sugar.
That's good. So the next topic we're going to focus on for the love languages is going to be quality time. And quality time is basically straightforward. It's just undivided attention. No TV, no talking to anyone else. You're actually speaking and paying attention to the person you're with. And that can be as little as reading a book together or eating dinner and talking to each other without looking at your phone. Just your undivided attention on that person.
You want to be fully present and fully engaged. You want to build bonds together and create a comfortability that even though the mix up with quality time is not that you two are present together, sitting on the couch together. One has their head in their phone, and the other one is playing video games. It's about encouraging you, being present with each other and engaging with each other. It's as exactly what Shanera said, undivided attention, all distractions are away. And people whose primary love language of quality time, if their activities are postponed, that's something that could make them feel empty on the inside. People who don't listen or are not being present during a conversation can hurt the connection between the two people who are sharing time together. Let's be honest. Time is money. People whose primary love language is quality time is saying that, we're here right now in this moment. We are only living so many minutes on this earth. Let's make the most of it. Let's be present together. Everybody has the same 24 hours, and it's how you spend it that determines how loved you feel. They want to make sure that they count every minute, and those minutes they spend together with people who they love, they value.
Right. And if someone's love language is quality time, do something that they enjoy. And body language is very important when you're doing that. If it's something you really don't enjoy doing and it's something that they enjoy doing, act like it. Fake the funk to make them feel loved, make them feel appreciated, make them know that you're there for them and it's not always about you.
I think a good example of quality time is just the simplicity of going on a picnic. There's the whole world to explore out there, and when you pack a lunch and you put a blanket down, all your distractions are gone, and it's really between you and that other person that you're building a relationship with.
Yes, spending time with one another is very crucial, because when you spend time with one another, like Kate, you just said, a bond builds, especially when it comes emotionally and mentally as well, because when you get attached, and that shows love, where you show love to one another when you're spending time with each other.
Great. So the third love language we're going to speak on is receiving gifts. Now, some may think, gifts can be a way to show someone being as a gold digger, but receiving gifts don't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be materialistic to receive a gift. It can be something little as making something for them, drawing a picture for them. It shows thoughts of thinking of them.
Yeah, gifts mean that you thought of them. You thought about what their likes are and what their dislikes are. You thought about what their favorite color is, so you chose to buy them a purple sweater instead of a blue sweater. It's the simplicity of that, and it's not about materialism. It thrives on love and thoughtfulness and effort. Right? You're pausing, you're on vacation, and you're pausing while you're away on the other side of the country thinking about loved ones at home. Who loves to get that t-shirt that says, oh, so-and-so visited this place and they thought of me? No, let's think about something else, like getting a bracelet because they love to wear bracelets instead of buying a ring. It communicates that you are known. People whose primary love language is of receiving gifts show that they are cared for and that they're a prized possession. And it's not about a dollar amount. It's just the simplicity of thinking of them, like little souvenirs. And what happens when people's primary love language of receiving gifts doesn't happen? Like, you forget their birthday or you miss the anniversary. It could be disastrous between the relationship between the pair.
Yeah, and in order to get a gift, don't wait for special occasions to get them a gift. Just show them that you're thinking of them, and something small. If you're not good at buying gifts, ask family and friends what they like. Take the time to get to know the person and list things. So when you're taking a walk in the mall and they'd be like, oh, I think that's really nice, or that's pretty cute. Make a mental note on getting them something that they pinpoint of what they like.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It could be a card. Make a card. Just anything small. It could be just even drawing something for someone. That helps also as well as for a gift.
It could be you're showing up to my house with flowers that you cut off the tree 10 seconds before you rang my doorbell. Like, it's little stuff like that, just the thoughtfulness that really communicates love.
Great. So the fourth love language that we're going to speak on is acts of service. And acts of service is pretty simple. It's just a helpful hand, little things like, babe, I got that. I'll take out the trash for you. Or let me do the dishes. I know that you had a hard day at work. Relieving some of the stress and the tasks that they have from day-to-day life.
It's doing something positive for someone else that you normally wouldn't do. People whose primary love language is acts of service. Anything you can do to ease the burden of responsibility, they love. They can't stand laziness. They can't stand broken commitments or making more work for them. You leave a mess in their house, that speaks volumes to them. However, if you serve them, that also speaks volumes of love, and they feel so valued. All help is alleviated is pure love. An example of acts of service is simple as holding the door open for others. And don't come into their house and make a mess in their house.
Yeah, and you definitely don't want to put fear in them when giving or demanding services. Like, you don't want them to do something and be sorry if they don't do it. And you definitely don't want them to be a servant, as in, if you love me, you'll do this. Or if you love me, you do that. You don't want to put fear into the person that you love. You want to actually speak to them like they're an adult or like they're a human being, as much as equal as you are.
When receiving acts of service, don't always expect anything in return when you're doing something and when you're doing one for someone, because sometimes when you do things like that, you also make the person feel like you have to always do the services for them, and then sometimes they can't return it back, and the favor back in return or anything. When you do something, just make sure you do it out of love and genuinely.
Okay, so last but not least is the fifth love language, which is physical touch. It's basically a person whose primary love language is surprisingly very touchy, likes things like hugs, pat on the backs, and thoughtful touches on the arm. They can all be ways to show excitement, concern, care, and love for one another. Physical presence accessibilities are crucial for a person that has a love language of physical touch. While neglect or abuse can be unforgettable and destructive, appropriate and timely touches communicate safety and love to one another.
Physical touch isn't always about being very touchy. It can, but you're not going to be really touchy to your grandma. It's about sitting and being near somebody. It can even just be, a high five or a pat on the back to your coworker. People whose primary love language of physical touch, you can kind of read because they're always that person that slaps you on your shoulder or extends their hand when they're talking to you. A cool physical touch game you can play is Twister. Just break out a Twister board and entangle yourself with each other, and that's a fun way of physical touch. But a question you might be asking yourself as you're listening to this podcast is, how do you even know what your love language is? Well, there's some different steps you can take. One of the most easiest one is go to www.5lovelanguages.com and take the quiz, and it will ask you a few questions, and then you can find it out. But you also can identify your own love languages. You observe the way that you express love to others. Another way you can observe what somebody else's love language is to see what other people are always complaining about. Somebody whose acts of service, if love language is their primary love language, they might be complaining about those dirty dishes in the sink, or how they need to get their car for an oil change and they don't have time to do it. Somebody whose primary love language is words of affirmation. They might be communicating encouraging words constantly to other people, or on the other side, they might be really negative all the time with their words. Somebody whose primary love language is physical touch. They could have been neglected when they were older or suffered from domestic violence, and they have such a negative taste in their mouth from that experience, that being healing from that is what's stopping them from being in love. So it could be what they complain about the most, is how you can identify it in your peers. And the third way you can identify it is what they request from their significant other most often. People naturally give love in the way that they prefer to receive love. A better communication between relationships and communities show that through caring and valuing. Something that's important is watch your children. Observe the way that your children love and feel love and what gives them the most joy.
There's also 5 love languages for our children. When it comes down to our children, they love emotionally. Chapman says that, but because they are all different, we must pay attention to their individual needs. We must learn to speak our children's love if we want them to feel loved.
Yes. And I know at times it can be very hard for single parents that's working a lot. However, it's very important for you to take the time to get to know your child. And to learn their love language. They have the same love languages as an adult. For children, in regards to words of affirmation, focus on their personality. Compliment them. Any upward appearances they have. If they play sports, say, you did good today on, example, football, or even though you guys didn't win, I seen how awesome you were being a teammate with everyone. If you have girls, for little girls, it can be something as simple as them choosing different outfits when they're playing with their Barbie dolls, and you can give them a great compliment like, I like how you coordinated their outfits today. It looked really nice. Or I like how you did her hair. I like how you braided it. You're going to be an awesome beautician when you grow up. Things like that to uplift them.
I liked how you talked about details, Shanair. It's about noticing the little stuff. My son recently drew this picture, and I was like, I like the way that you did your shadows on this vase and how you highlighted it here and you put a shadow here. Really add depth to your picture.
Acts of service for children is actually helping them when they can't do things for themselves and teaching them how to do things as well. So when they're growing up, you can show them how to vacuum or show them how to do the dishes. Simple things is teaching them chores. And once they get to learn how to adapt to that, they may be changed into something that they enjoy to love in the future.
Or just doing something for them, just out of nowhere. Like, I'll just drive and take my daughter to the nail salon and get her nails done, and she's just like, Mom, I didn't know we were gonna do this, but that's stuff that as a kid that they like also doing, just surprising them and just doing something for them.
And taking them to get some Ritas. Summertime's coming out. They may want to go get some ice cream or some Ritas and just spend time with them doing something that they might like.
Acts of service happens all the time at my house. Folding laundry, washing your hair, making you food. And then eventually as a child grows up and their independency becomes more stronger, those acts of service form in different ways. And it can get very close in how you spend quality time with them. Quality time in the children is really important. Quality time for me happens to my son. I see him find a lot of value. Just me being present, watching him with his karate, while he's doing his karate, his simple 45-minute class, and there's numerous parents who have their heads in their phone, but when my son looks up and I'm looking at him doing his karate moves, I know that it makes him feel so valued and so full that I'm fully engaged watching him. And then when we get in the car, we get to debrief on how awesome he was, and we get to hop back onto words of affirmation.
Yeah, quality time is very important, and sometimes it's not about the activity, but it's about the time that you're spending with each other. Whether it's your children, whether it's your family, whether it's your partner, it's all about the time that you're spending. And as far as with children, it starts when they're infants, When they're on the floor, sit there and play with them. Throw them some little balls or be on the floor mat, and you can take that with them until their teenage years or their middle age years. I know what me and my son do to actually, because his love language is quality time, to actually fulfill his love language. We have date nights. So we'll go out on a date and we'll talk about the week or talk about something that he enjoys doing. I'll let him pick out his favorite restaurant, and it's all about him. We'll have movie night. We'll play Monopoly for like 5 hours. He always wins, but I know that he enjoys playing Monopoly. And I know that he enjoys spending time with me because that is his love language.
Yes, I'm the same with my kids. I love spending time with them. Even though or even taking drives with them, and where we can just sit in the car and we'll talk about everything and anything. Well, they'll talk about what's bothering them. They'll tell me how their week has gone, or if they, their ups and downs, especially in school. Times like that being spent with your child is the most crucial as well, especially as being a teen.
Gifts for children is the same as adults. It can be something as little as getting them some candy or a pack of gum versus giving them a hug. I know children love gifts, but if that's their love language, it doesn't have to always be something expensive.
I think we have to be careful with receiving gifts as a love language with children. And we can't think about all the materialistic that comes in. We celebrate birthdays, and when you're younger, you're going all out in comparison to when you're adult. Christmas, when you're a child, get all these presents. In comparison, when you're older, you might get a handful. With gifts and children, you have to be really creative. You can do simple notes in their lunch bag, or you can throw in a few extra Hershey Kisses in their lunch bag, or snack time, making it extra special for them. Or you came home from work, and after work you brought a donut, or you designed a little bookmark for them to have at school. Just a little friendly reminder. It doesn't have to be the next video game that came out or the new pair of Jordans that you purchased for your kid. Gifts is about thinking about how special they are and communicating it through an object.
Last but not least, physical touch it's also the same as for adults. It can be something simple as giving them a hug or giving them a kiss. It's just literally showing that you love them.
Physical touch is about being near. It's always about being near. And I can think of as when I was a little girl, my dad just gave me those sweet kisses on my head. I love to show that affection towards my son, or putting my arm around him, or trying to hold my big boy like the little baby that he once was. Physical touch is just about knowing that you are near and you are close.
Great. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to part 2 of relationships. I do want to leave you, as always, with a quote. This quote is actually from Dr. Gary Chapman as well. He says, "Our most basic emotional needs is not to fall in love, but to be genuinely loved by one another. To know a love that grows out of reason and choice and not instant. I need to be loved by someone who chooses to love me, who sees in me something worth loving."
Hey ladies, I challenge you to take the 5 love languages. The link is on on the bio and the website, or on Facebook, and you can comment, share, and like as well.
So ladies,
Stay uncommon.